Good evening. Good evening. I need to feel the energy. How are you? Thank you for coming tonight. I'm thrilled to introduce to you Miss Isadora Bigourdan. She's the CEO of Digital Africa, and Digital Africa has been driving change on the continent and disruptive entrepreneurship through a bunch of initiatives that she will tell you more about. I'm also very excited to announce that through the School of Business, ALU is entering into a partnership with Digital Africa to help your tech startups across the continent scale up and achieve the impact that we are trying to have here at ALU. So we will tell you more about it later, but suffice it to say that you should be excited about funding opportunities that will come your way. And as your colleagues have found out upstairs, there are many ways that you can get not just funding, but also capacity building and support from Digital Africa. And Isadora and her team will tell you more about it. But without further ado, I will let her tell us about leveraging technology to transform Africa. Thank you, Isadora.
Thank you very much. Miriwe, everybody. Bonsoir. Good night. Thank you very much, Momar, for these words of introduction. That's my very great pleasure to be here with you tonight. I will be talking about how can we leverage on technology to transform Africa, and more specifically, how can we leverage on tech leaders, because we believe in the power of leadership in that extent. Thank you very much, and I will then answer to your question with Aphrodis Mutangana, who is heading our partnership with the yellow shirt here. So thank you very much for being here. I know it's late. We just wanted to share our enthusiasm with you. Africa, who is the cradle of creativity and innovation, is definitely at the heart of a transformation, which is for Africa, but it's basically worldwide. Everywhere, African-based innovation are using tech across the continent to improve lives of the population, to ease access to essential services, and to change and to have a real impact on the economy. Everywhere, tech leaders are committed themselves into using and leveraging on technology to actually improving the life of the population. Let's take, for example, POA. Do you know POA Internet? Yes, you know this startup, which is a startup of our portfolio. We're very proud for this. I don't know if you know them, but what they do is they propose wireless brand-board solutions for low-income population in rural and peri-rural areas so that they can get connectivity. Every time I come to Africa, when I see people paying in the street with their phone, there's no doubt that digitalization is on its way, and Africa is leading on that purpose. Still, connectivity is a big issue, as only 1/3 of the population have an actual access to internet. And the last figures are saying that investment to provide everybody with a fine internet connectivity is an investment of $100 billion as of 2030, which is tomorrow. So POA Internet is a startup that provides you with an alternative and a solution. What they do basically is they provide access to internet to this population that are unserved as of today. And what does it provide? It provides them with access to information, to knowledge, to innovation that can actually connect you to the world and to a world of opportunities. For example, for local retailers, it means that you can access a wide market way beyond your neighborhood, and why not worldwide. So it gives you really opportunity that have a real impact on economy and on the life of people. At Digital Africa, we are witnessing these changes, and what we are really committed to partnering with the tech leaders on the continent to provide them with the means, the financial means, the talent needs, and to give them the visibility that they should have. What we do is we really believe that technology makes sense if it's at the service of the real economy, through job creation, through entrepreneurship, and through innovation. We really believe that tech leaders is at the heart of this transformation, and that the world should be inspired by what's going on here in Africa. How do we do this? Our experience on the ecosystem innovation shows that you have to work on three interrelated subjects. First subjects being access to talent and data, which means that you have to have the right resources at the right time of your scaling up to be able to test, develop, and expand your tech solutions. The second subject is funding. At Digital Africa, we focus on very early stage startup. And let me tell you, it's very difficult to accept the appropriate funding that you need to scale your startup. And last but not least, a question of visibility. How do we showcase what's going on here on the continent? How do we make sure that people have the right information? And hence, how do we attract talent and means? And by means, I also means investment and money in the continent so that this dynamic can be really scaled up. So let's go to talent and data. First thing a tech entrepreneur needs is obviously access to talent. Getting this talent trained in terms of digital skills is an emergency. As you know, 18 million young people will be entering the Africa labor force as of 2030. And as of today, lots of them are very connected, but training is unfortunately lacking. So when you know that 90% of the jobs that are to be created will require digital skills, there's really an emergency to make sure that these young people can benefit you can benefit from access to training in digital transformation and skills so that you can contribute to what's going on and the transformation of the continent and beyond. So what we do is we're very proud to have launched a program named Talent for Startup in partnership with the German corporation, where we give the chance to young talent to access training in jobs that are actually on demand in startups and to work on employability. So what we do is through EdTech partnerships, we have 9 EdTech partners throughout the continent, and they provide you with training, short-term training, and then we help you meet the startups that are on demand on the jobs that we're training you for. That way you can benefit from a long-term employment and you can contribute and join the startup adventure. What we also do is we have noticed that lots of very good ideas never become profitable ventures, which is a shame because they don't have the transformation power that they should have. So we've decided in partnership with EdTech Connection to develop an iterative tool, very easy to use, which is named Go Product Market Fit. We were discussing this product earlier on. And the idea is to make sure that every innovation can be rolled out as a profitable venture and hence as a startup. The other thing that we really believe in is that in the continent, there are numerous high potential teams that are waiting here to be worked with and to be accompanied in their journey, in the entrepreneurial journey. So we're very happy to be partnering with OST and MIT through a program named Brain Africa, which purpose is to identify high-quality team working on deep tech throughout the continent and help them going from an innovation, a radical innovation to a venture that can actually become a startup and make a change on the ground. So that's for talent, which is key, and with really that's really the most important thing is everything will go through talent. But when you run a tech enterprise, what you need also is access to data, which is a very difficult issue and a challenge today on the continent. So we're very proud of Digital Africa to be able to work with the access to valuable data. What we are we've been running our first hackathon with a bunch of partners, among them Zindi, Data 3045, Investive, and lots of other partners. And what we had, the idea was how do we create a machine learning model that will help analyze drone imagery for agriculture in Ivory Coast. And it turns out that we received more than 600 models from more than 60 countries around the world, half of which from Africa. And we're very happy to be able to work with them, and we are now launching a second hackathon on the same subject. So please join the adventure. That was for talent and data. Now let's jump to the difficult question of funding. How do I get funding when I have my venture ready entrepreneurs? Because it will define the sustainability and the ambition that I can have as an entrepreneur. If we look at the figures, it's quite positive in the sense that the amount of investment in terms of volume as well in terms of numbers of transactions that has been going on the continent is always on the rise. Still, with $5 billion on average invested every year in VC venture capital in Africa, it's less than 2% of international VC funding that will channel to the continent, which is not enough. So again, it's very, and not to mention the fact that most of the funding, more than 95%, will go to male-led ventures. So how do we tackle this issue, and how do we make sure that more money would come to the continent? At Digital Africa, we are convinced that it means that we have to leverage on everything we do to provide direct and indirect funding to the entrepreneurs, meaning entrepreneurs, and we will also make sure that more international as well as African-based investors will jump into the ecosystem and provide entrepreneurs with funding. How do we do this? We have developed several tools, funding tools, so to make sure that we can fund these startups at every stage of the journey. The first is Fusée. Fusée is a fund that you can apply to if you have a venture. It's very, very, very stage early, small tickets that we will provide to tech entrepreneurs operating in Francophone Africa. Why Francophone Africa? It's because it's been, most of the time, 70% of the investment will go to 4 countries in Africa, mainly Anglophone Africa. And when we take what has been called the investment winter in 2022, the amount of investment channeled to Francophone Africa has dropped of 81%, which is huge. So with Fusée, what we do is we provide small size tickets to very early stage entrepreneurs so that they can go from the idea to the actual MVP that they can demonstrate to potential investors and go on with the journey. As an example, since its launch, his real launch in January 2023, we've received more than 700 applications. We've analyzed more than 120 startups. We've been issuing 18 tickets as of today. I will give you some examples because I don't have time to name all of them, even if I wish I could. So let me give you an example. For example, Neoline is a Dakar-based edtech startup, and they've already really changed the game in the sense that they will give you a professional certification and they will help job placement in emerging countries. So they've developed a specific model where certification will help you get a job, very concretely. Or, for example, Wanda, who is a SaaS platform based in Morocco, and they would help local retailers to get in touch with European shops so that they can expand their business throughout the world and in Europe to begin with. So that was for Fusée. Next step on your journey when you are an entrepreneur, you have your first ticket, you have your MVP, and now you will go to what we call a Series A funding. To get a Series A funding, it means that you will have time where you have to face some expenses, and it takes time to actually have an investor coming in and fund your scaling up. So we've been developing Bridge Fund by Digital Africa, operating by ProParco, and the purpose of this fund is to help entrepreneurs face the cash strength issue that they will face while raising funds. The Bridge Fund has, it's 7 million. We've been lending, extending 18 tickets as of today in 9 countries throughout Africa. And we're very happy to say that some of them have achieved the Series A funding with success, and that they all say that this ticket had really helped them go through the journey. For example, I can name Africrea, Anka, who used to be Africrea, and they help African artisans and creative people to access markets outside Africa with their products. now that we have this, I can name many other ones that I can answer during the question if you want. Now that we have actually directly fund these entrepreneurs, what we need to do is make sure that they can go on the journey and connect to the right network. So we've created with the BPI, Eroquity and Africa Grow a network called Africa Next, which purpose is to make sure that startups that are raising from 1 to 10 million euros can access investors that are actually looking for this size of tickets, and that they can e-pitch very easily and get access to funding, at least to the chance of advocating for the funding. So as of today, there's been 12 e-pitch sessions with more than 80 startups throughout Africa that had the chance to enter into connection with 40 venture capitalists on the continent, such as Afriquinvest, Novastar, Partech, Flat Six Labs, and many more. The bottom line is really to create a community and a sense of opportunities so that other investors will join the dynamic and take part of the African Next community. So that was for funding. And I can name several startups that have, such as A-Alliance, Go My Code, or MedSaf, or other startups that are now considered as to become unicorn, African unicorn. So we're very proud of that. So now that you have access to talent and data, that hopefully you get funding, now what you need is visibility. The bottom line is, for people to enter the ecosystem, you definitely need visibility and advocacy. So we're very proud to have on the ground 18 connectors that help us making sure that everything we do is grounded to the needs of the entrepreneurs. And the advocacy philosophy behind what we do is really showcasing the vibrancy of what's going on here in the ecosystem, and make sure that we can showcase the doers that are actually changing, transforming the continent on a day-to-day basis. We're very proud to have launched a media that I invite you to visit. We are developing this media with our partner Africa Next agency. It's called Resilient Digital Africa. And through in-depth interview, solution showcasing, and various articles, what we are doing here is we really want to unite voices from the continent to demonstrate to the world and to the partners and allies that something's going on here and you should take part of it. So through Resilient Digital Africa, we really want to make sure that there's a union of allies that will take place, and that people can showcase what they do and have access to international network. Because what an entrepreneur needs is, yes, talent and data, yes, funding, but also access to an international network of partners and allies. So that's what we try to do, and what we're very proud of doing with Resilient Digital Africa. At Digital Africa, we strongly believe that everything, and we share the same vision as Aliou in many aspects, but on this one particularly, that leaders are at the heart of this transformation, and leadership is at the heart of transformation. We truly believe that conscious leadership, leveraging on technology, will transform the continent, and that is happening right now. We strongly believe that every challenges the continent has to face have also already the solutions here, and that through conscious leadership, we can really change the things. Let's take, for example, Rwanda. Rwanda, the beautiful country that is hosting us today, and where we're very happy to have an office with Aphrodis based here. Rwanda is an example to many aspects in terms of how to leverage on technology to transform a country. Rwanda has worldwide is an example of parity in the parliament. It's an example of governance and anti-corruption commitment. And it has definitely put technology and digital transformation at the heart of the model of society that he wants to push. If you can see, once I know all the initiatives that exist, but when you get to meet the people in person, you realize the energy of this country, and you realize from preschool to the university that digital transformation is everywhere. If you take, for example, Kigali Innovative City, it's the idea is, how do we create a hub through machine learning? How do I get to have people coming from all over the world in a safe place with a vibrant and welcoming ecosystem where I can actually develop, test, and deploy my tech solutions? And that's what Rwanda is doing. It's not only pushing a tech made in Rwanda, it's really pushing a tech made in Africa. After all, I was amazed when I discovered a few years ago that the first port drone will be from here. It was born here in Rwanda, and that it was not used for a recreational purpose, but it was used to deliver blood and essential products. So that's an inspiration for the whole world. Another example I wanted to share with you is InstaDip. InstaDip is definitely a success story. It has begun in Tunisia in 2014. Both Karim Beguir and Zora Slim, they were having $2,000 in their pocket. Great ambition, great dreams. One was a politician, the other one was a self-taught computer and designer scientist. And what they've been doing is they developed, through algorithm, they've developed an AI model to help decision-making process. So they've been doing this, and suddenly the COVID-19 stroke happened. And everywhere in the world, people were panicking and were looking for vaccine. How do we get to know? And so the idea is the team from InstaDip, what they've done is they've developed a model, they adapt the model to identify very quickly the different form of virus, because the startup, what they've done is they published everything they've done, so they offered it to the community and they said, look what we have. Our model can work also to develop vaccines against COVID-19. So Pfizer and BioNTech, what they've done is they decided to partner with you with the Starry 2023. BioNTech has bought for 635 million euros InstaDip. And what I feel very interesting about this story is that, yes, an innovation from Africa has saved millions of lives throughout the world. But when you hear about what the founders said, they said, the very purpose of funding InstaDip at the first place was to demonstrate that AI solutions from Africa can tackle challenges that are happening in the world. And for them, it's very important to underline that they are an African startups that, thanks to African talent, have been able to develop a solution that actually tackled a worldwide challenge, because COVID-19 was a very nice use case to that extent. And so that's what they've been saying. And I have thousands of examples coming into my mind. I can talk about Expansia, who is a startup revolutioning the way you manage your professional fees, and they've just been bought out by a Swedish company. I can talk about women that are really committed in Africa to invent new models. For example, Seina, that is led by Martina Raufilzak, who is really very inspiring. And what she's doing is she is combining tech training with microtasking so that you can train yourself in tech skills while working. I can talk about Fatouma Taba, who has just launched Django, who is a VC fund devoted on how do I make sure that women can access funding. So how do I tackle this funding issue for women? But I have so many more. The list is endless. When you look at, during COVID-19, the World Health Organization, they've been doing a survey stating that COVID-19 gave birth to more than 1,000 tech innovation. More than 15% of them have been invented, tested, and developed in Africa. So really, who can doubt that Africa is playing a huge role in what technology can bring to the world? And I really feel that it's through leadership that we can really change the things and make sure that this transformation is happening for the sake of everyone. Our mission at Digital Africa is really to be committed with these tech entrepreneurs and make sure they can have access to all the means that they need. Our mission is really to be a side the people that are creating, inventing, imagining, and actually operating the solutions for the world to come. What strikes me throughout my experience is every time you do a startup challenges in Africa, startups are here to tackle social, environmental, or solutions, problems, issues that will bring good to the community. And it's really special in Africa where you have conscious leadership aligning with technology to create change. So at Digital Africa, what we really want to tell you is if you're a tech entrepreneur at the early stage, we're here for you. We would be very happy to make sure and connect you and make the best out of the solution that you have. You can count on us because we believe that it's only through union between stakeholders, allies, entrepreneurs, funders, investors that the change can happen very quickly. We need to showcase what's going on here on the continent. I really believe that digital change is happening here in Africa and that it will inspire the world as a whole. It has already happened. The revolution is here. I believe in it. We strongly believe in it at Digital Africa. I'm sure you do. So please join us. The journey starts now. Thank you very much. I think there's a Q&A session, right? So who is a tech entrepreneur in the room? Can you raise your hands, please? You don't have to be shy. Or who is interested in what's going on in digital transformation? Everybody, right? You don't realize, but you're all geeks. You all have a phone, right? Yes? Okay, so you're all digital innovators in a sense, because you know how to use them. She says no, but yes, you are. Do you have any question? Yes? I don't know, how, shall I? Ah, no, okay, there's another one.
Okay, good evening. My name is Samuel. I'm a student at the African Leadership University studying software engineering, and I will be specializing in machine learning. So I actually wanted to ask a question when you talked about an AI model helping in decision making. So I want to ask that, how do you ensure the ethical and responsible use of digital technology when it comes to the aspect of automations, robotics, and AI? Because in the process of inventing some new things, in the process of creating a new things, I don't believe in creating a new thing which will actually lead to the damage of another of something else. Like we all know the effect of a little bit effect of AI on job creation and stuff. So I want to ask that, how do you ensure the ethical and responsible use of digital technologies when it comes to AI, robotics, and automation? Thank you.
Wow, thank you very much for the very tough question. Well, that's a big issue that we all face, right? It's not something that, how do we make sure that ethical, it depends on the model, and I think it depends on the way, which model are you going to support? If you take InStudy, for example, what they've been doing is they're very strong on ethical, so they have very strong ethical principles at the first place. So they have like an ethical charter, so they make sure that what they do will serve a specific purpose. And to that extent, it's now that they're working on how do you use machine learning models to identify cancer cells early on. So we don't pretend to have like an ecosystem impact on that because it's more regulation that we'll do. So what we've been doing is we've been supporting research work on this question, on, for example, ethics. How do we make sure that data framework will be ethical, and we provide guidelines so that AI can be developed only with ethical principles. So we're trying to have that kind of influence in a sense, and make sure that the regulation take this into consideration. And when it comes to support of funding, we have an ethical charter, so we make sure that the venture that we will support are compliant to the ethical principles that we have. But that's the kind of thing we do. to make sure, but we definitely have the ethical challenges of all this in mind. Thank you for asking this. And you as leaders, you should definitely committed yourself into thinking of nice regulation that are okay in terms of ethics. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. Thank you very much for such an insightful session. My name is Dami. While you were speaking, you mentioned something about one of the challenges that you face with businesses that are under Digital Africa is many of these ventures are not usually profitable, and I believe that it's one of the challenges that startups face in trying to build a business model around their business. So my question is, how does Digital Africa solve that? Do you offer mentorship programs, or like how do you work around that?
Thank you very much. So yes, to begin with, a startup cannot be profitable when it begins, and even when you would get your first ticket in Series A, most of the startups, they're not at what we call the break even. They would burn cash, as we say, more than earning revenues. But that's the principle of innovation. And when the specific model of tech startup is that you have to go fast. And so that's why you need funding. So how do we do this very concretely? Fusée, and I forgot to mention this, but Fusée, what we do is we work with more than 60 ecosystem builders on the continent, and they identify promising venture. And by promising, what I'm saying is that you have to have some kind of tech innovation somewhere that is tackling a issue that will have a good impact on the real economy, that will have an impact, profitable, beneficial impact. But Fusée is exactly for that purpose, is so that you can have and it's ticket up to 50,000 euros. So that you can go from an idea and you can drop in your job, in a sense, and focusing on developing your product, your tech product. And then throughout the journey, we will connect you with people that can help you fund your venture. And that's the purpose of Bridge also, is to make sure that you can have access to funding up to 600,000 euros, so that you can have cash to develop and expand your activity. It's of course a question of, it's a very important question, but if you can be part of an ecosystem and identify funding through Fusée or through other initiatives, then what we see is that the teams that are really committed, they manage to find funding and they manage to find partnerships so that they can push forward the tech solution. So I'm not saying it's not an issue. That's what I said. Funding is clearly an issue, but there are solutions, and being part of a community, being part of a venture builder that will help you through the journey is really. You will get mentorship. You will get access to a place where basically you can have internet connectivity, which is key. You can have access to data. The idea is how do we help you access more quickly the resources that you would need to push up your project.
Okay, thank you so much for the whole section and everything. And my name is Chinedu, and I don't really have a question to ask, but I have something that I wanted to say. As someone that loves Africa and the whole story of Africa, the only thing that we see in the media out there is, the other side. Not truly the beautiful side. I mean, we have like beautiful places in Africa, but we don't actually see it out there in the media. And you talked about the media part of the company, and I've been interested in that part of the technology part of Africa, because I've been creating videos and making videos about Africa, documentaries, because I won't call it documentary because it's not documentary. So I'm trying to shoot a shot because after the first trimester of this whole, because I am in this May intake. So after the first trimester, we are supposed to go for internship. So so my request is, can I work as an intern after the first trimester?
You see, that's a question. So I will leave for this. You are really, that's the best spot to be, because you are just sitting aside our...
Yeah. Just to respond, let me be quick. It's something we can talk about, and I really appreciate that. And we can see how to promote the talents, because the objective of the resilient is to also showcase the talent and what is being done by young Africans, because sometimes some people, they don't believe or trust what they do. So I think there is a window.
Yeah, we'll definitely keep in touch. So you can give your number to Aphrodis right next to you. And just a quick word on showcasing. That's the reason why we make it a core activity as much as talent, data, and funding, because we really what we see from entrepreneurs is most of the time. Let's take InstaDeep, for example. They had a wonderful AI model. It was working. It was actually really working very well. But they were looking for partnerships, and they were looking for a window. They were looking for visibility. And so they've decided to publish out there the results of what they've been doing, they've been developing, because they couldn't reach internationally, they couldn't have an international reach. And it really worked. The fact that they have visibility and that they used, in a sense, because they were not heard by the media, they decided that they would be heard elsewhere on another. So that's why Resilient Digital Africa is key to us. It's really what we call an umbrella activities, in the sense that we want to showcase what we witnesses, because we witness on the ground, and we are very happy to be making alliance with these tech champions that are really inspiring us. And that's what we see on the continent. So I share your frustration in the sense that we don't get, and yes, it's nice to know that Africa has nice landscapes, but for me, the gold of Africa is you, is the talent, and the fact that youth is very connected, very agile, very used to, nothing, it seems like nothing can stop you. And that's what I see in the tech ecosystem, is really the fact that there's a lot. We were with some researcher that he's inventing a very, very powerful system to repurpose, as he say, batteries that are used by the drones. And as of today, everywhere in the world, when the drone has a used battery, you just throw them away. And that guy from here, from Kigali, is inventing something that can repurpose this battery so that we don't waste that many batteries and have a dramatic impact on the earth. So yes, let's talk about an internship, and we're very happy that we can get any contribution to make sure that the window that we're trying, that we are pushing, is a collective one. So there was a question actually in your intervention.
Hello.
Hi.
My name is Eric Ndachaisenga. I'm from Rwanda. My question concerns about the deep tech development in Africa. I want to ask about what Digital Africa is doing to develop infrastructure such as data center, where data can, instead of being processed abroad in Europe or North America, it can be processed here in Africa. That's one part. And another part about developing small like system, like chips that are African made and can be used to develop like African tech ecosystem.
In deep tech, right?
Yes, in
so
deep tech.
What we do in terms of, we don't fund infrastructure, because it's really it has to be is in the end of governments, in public funding in a sense. So, but we are definitely contributing to providing them with data on the needs of the tech entrepreneurs. So what do they actually need, so that the infrastructure investment meet the needs of the doers on the ground. We are now supporting there's going to be a study that you could, it's just, we are launching it next week. So, and we are supporting, it's the OST and the MIT together with Agoranov and some other partners that will make a deep dive study on deep tech landscape, because InstaDeep, and I really thank them for that, because it gave a light, and again we go back to the media, but it really the amount of the exit as well as what they've been doing showcase to the world that something is happening in terms of IA in Africa. And so we are now conducting, we are supporting the realization of this survey on deep tech landscape in Africa. So what's happening, what do they need, what should be done to speed up this, how can Africa be really the continent of AI, because there's really an opportunity here. So that's what we do. And in terms of the second question was, yes, we any solution that can, be very, we don't develop solution in the sense, we very humbly try to make this solution be created and scale. So but we would be very happy to support, for instance, we support POA internet, because we think connectivity is a key issue. So it's really something that we think we shall push, and in the same, on the same manner, every solution that can, ease data access and management, we will be supporting that kind of solution. So if you have any solution, let us know. That's what I can say. Yes, thank you.
My name is Blessing. I'm the first year at African Leadership University studying entrepreneurial leadership. So I just want to ask a very quick question. And my question is, you mentioned Francophone countries as being places where you support, but I want to know, because here in AL you have students from different areas in Africa. So where exactly do you support? Is it all of Africa, or there are different specific regions that you support entrepreneurs?
Okay, merci. Thank you. So we are operating in 31 countries throughout Africa as of today, but our ambition is to be everywhere. In terms of what I was saying is, Fusée is specifically focusing on tech champions operating in Francophone Africa to begin with, because there's a lack of opportunities for tech champions in Francophone Africa. There's less funding available. So Fusée is really for Francophone champions, but all the other programs are for talent coming from all over Africa. We don't have any geographical limitation. That's one. And two, we have, as I was saying, we have 15 connectors in 15 countries. We have office here in Kigali and in Tunis. We are based in Paris and Marseille, also in France. And so the ambition is to be everywhere where we are useful. What we are trying to do, we focus on very early stage startups. So it means really at the very beginning. And the ambition is to walk the entrepreneur through the journey so that you can have, so that they can, we feel that as of today, this is the riskiest segment. And so the very early stage, nobody really goes there. So we can do this because we have subsidies and we can leverage on public funding, European or French public funding. But then what we want to do is really to have a footprint everywhere on the continent. Apart from Fusée, which is only for Francophone Africa as of today, but it doesn't mean it won't be developed elsewhere in the year to come. Does anyone has a question? No? Ah, okay. She has another question. Oh yeah, we have 2 minutes more. Is that it? Oh, I don't know.
Just a very quick question. And concerning the application process, I don't know how it's run, and I don't know if it just has its own season, like application being open for early stage entrepreneurs to apply for the coaching, mentorship, and all of the things you offer at Digital Africa. So can you just tell us more about the eligibility criteria, the season by which we can apply, entrepreneurs can apply? Thank you.
Thank you. Very useful question, and I should have said a word about this. Everything we do will go through interface, so very easy to access interface. For example, we are launching the second batch of Talent for Startup trainings. So it's going to be open on the website. You can apply directly on the website. We are partnering, as I was saying, with EdTech startups on the continent. So you just go on the interface, you go on the website, then you will have the link to the interface on the program that you... so Talent for Startup is the first batch where they just finished the training, so we are launching the second one in the fall. So it means that we will offer 1,000 scholarships. So the opportunity for 1,000 students to be trained. It's short-term training in very specific tech skills. Because we've been working with our startup networks to identify the jobs that were on demand. So and so you apply through the website, and then you will have an answer on your application. For Fusée, it's through the venture builders that are partnering with us, and so you go on the Fusée interface. So it's fusée.digitalafrica.co. And then you go on the interface and you apply for funding, but you have to have at least a very mature proof of concept or MVP. You have to have a team. You have to be operating in Francophone Africa, but Rwanda is eligible. And because I should be speaking French, in reality. Well, that's everything for Brain. It's going to be, there's going to be a call. Everything is transparent. So we just... You go on the website, we will give you the dates, and for every program you can just apply. It's very important for us that access to what we propose are transparent, easy, user-centric, and that we don't take too much of your time. Because, time is for entrepreneurs, time is the first resources, right? I see that it's the end. Okay.
So thank you very much, Isadora. Please join me in thanking her again.
Thank you.
And again, the only thing standing between you and funding is just access to the website. So as she said, please go check it out and look at the opportunities, okay? Thank you very much.
Morakoje, thank you, merci beaucoup. And let's make it happen, as Aphrodite is saying, right? Let's make it happen.
We'll have a group picture, so if you can maybe just sit here, and then, yeah. Before everyone leaves, we'll just take a quick group picture.
I got so much money, I should start a bank. So much paper right in front of me, it's hard to